allow any researcher to evaluate their forecast against ground truth on the continent, to provide a little bit more insight on whether these AI models work in Africa. And then the other one is AfriNet, which actually I'm leading, is a citizen science project where we decided to just set up weather stations around the continent. That would be through the members of our community that would maintain them and then publish the data freely for research, enabling, of course, the benchmarking and many other applications. So that's it in a nutshell about AfriClimate. Again, welcome to the seminar. Thank you for joining. Also, if you have questions, please don't hesitate and put them in the chat.
Okay, thank you very much, Sabrina, for the wonderful introduction of AfriClimate AI. So just a bit intro about our speaker for today. So we have with us Narindra RALEFOMANANA. I hope the name is well pronounced. So she's a Malagasy economist, researcher, and climate activist with over 10 years of experience in research, education, and climate advocacy. She holds a master's degree in public economy and environment from the University of Antananarivo and is currently pursuing a PhD at École doctorale en gestion des ressources naturelles et développement, University of Antananarivo. Her research focuses on accelerating the energy transition through carbon tax for a just and equitable policy. She is skilled in data collection, analysis, and applying research to support sustainable development and informed decision making. While I'm talking, maybe you can share your screen, Narindra. So just a little bit housekeeping rules. If you are not speaking, please mute yourself so that we don't have interruptions. And if you would like to ask a question, you can raise your hand and then we would allow you to speak. I'm not sure how the speaker wants it, but you can also type the questions in the chat session and the speaker will take them after or during, whichever way she finds okay with. And I think that should be it. And of course, there should be no bullying, no bad words used within the score. And I believe the floor is yours, Narindra. You can put it on presentation mode. I believe that would be better. Great.
Thank you very much, John, for giving me the floor. And thank you everyone for joining us today. So my name is Narindra, as John said, and I live in Madagascar, and I studied economy and policy of natural resources at University of Antananarivo, and I'm a PhD student. And my work focuses on assessing the impact of carbon tax policy on renewable energy investment. And today I will talk a part of my work. This is the potential use of AI. So the summary of my speech today is I will talk about key concepts first, and after global context in Africa and developing countries, and the link between carbon tax and renewable energy. And after that, the AI for predictive analysis and scenario simulation, AI for investment optimization and risk management, AI for policy design and real-time decision making. So first, the first key concept is the carbon tax policy. What is a carbon tax? A carbon tax is a tax placed on the carbon content of fuels or greenhouse gas emission of industries, and it incentivizes emission reduction by internalizing the social cost of emission. So what is this for? carbon tax address externalities. Climate change is a global externality with costs borne by society, and carbon taxes help reduce emissions by including these costs in economic transactions. The carbon tax policy is introduced in the 1990s, and carbon taxes have grown in adoption with 27 taxes currently in place now and covering 5% of global greenhouse gas emissions. And carbon taxes are often combined with other instruments like subsidized emissions trading systems and regulations to achieve optimal outcomes. What about carbon tax design process? I will show you here the framework for effective carbon tax design. So first, policymakers have to set objectives and the role of carbon tax. It means that carbon tax can aim to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, raise revenue, promote low carbon development, and improve tax efficiency. The carbon tax can be central or complementary to other policies, aligning with market-based price signals for effective emission reductions. So after setting the objectives, policymakers, secondly, will set emissions targets and trajectory. So clean emissions targets and timelines are essential for tax design. After that, revenue and tax system efficiency. So governments must decide on the revenue purpose. For example, the infrastructure to establish or green investment, balancing efficiency with tax reform needs. And after that, for design considerations, carbon tax designs must consider national context, government capacity, economic conditions, and political feasibility, while minimizing administrative complexity. Because there is, for example, in Madagascar, administrative complexity is very big challenges. So what are the administrative needs? More complex designs, like offset or rebates, require greater administrative capacity and oversight. So the government and policymakers must consider it before implementing carbon tax. And finally, the public and political acceptance. It ensures that policy stability, compliance, and long-term effectiveness in reducing emissions and driving the energy transition. So what are the implementation phase of carbon tax? There are three phases to implement carbon tax. First, the determination of the tax base, after the tax rate setting, and finally the control of the tax rate dynamics. So what about the determination of the tax base? First, policymakers must have the scope of the tax. It means which gases, which economic sectors and activities will be covered by the carbon tax. Secondly, the point of taxation in the supply chain. And after that, the legal entity responsible for payment. And finally, the possible application thresholds. So after that, for the tax setting, policymakers must consider social cost of carbon tax when the government plan to fix the tax rate, he must consider the social cost of carbon. It's based on on the economic and social damages of each ton of CO2 emitted. And secondly, the emission reduction objective, adjusted to reach a specific level of emissions reduction. For example, we aim aim of 30% of reduction by 2030. And after that, the revenue objective aims to generate tax revenues, fund environmental programs or compensate vulnerable households. And finally, the benchmarking. The rate is based on reference emission levels to encourage better environmental performance. The final phase of implementation of carbon tax is the control of the tax rate dynamics. To control the tax rate dynamics, the trajectory must be planned. So plan trajectory, defining the direction of the tax rate's evolution. And after that, the adjustment procedures, establishing how rate can change. And finally, the adjustment rules, setting criteria or frameworks for adjustments, some being more formal and requiring less political discretion. So the tax rate can be static or increase annually based on the predefined value. So that is the implementation phase of carbon tax. The second key concept is renewable energy. Renewable energy. What is renewable energy? So renewable energy includes wind, solar, geothermal, hydropower, and other technologies that produce energy with little to no carbon dioxide emissions or air pollution. The benefit of renewable energy is the environmental impact and sustainability. It reduces greenhouse gas emissions, combats climate change, and minimizes environmental pollution. The energy independence. It reduces reliance on imported fossil fuels and increases energy security. And finally, the economic opportunities create jobs in installation, maintenance, and research, fostering green industries. There is the benefits of renewable energy. The challenges is the intermittency. Some renewable sources like solar and wind are not available 24 hours and require energy storage solutions. The infrastructure investment, the initial cost of transitioning to renewable energy infrastructure can be high. And the geographical constraints, the availability of renewable resources can be location dependent, requiring specific conditions, example, sunlight and wind speed. So carbon taxes can incentivize behavioral shifts and provide funds for green projects like renewable energy and the energy efficiency. So that there are the key concepts to consider. I consider while conducting this study. So, what is the global context? The global context of this study is first the climate change. The climate change driven by greenhouse gas emissions increases natural hazards like rising sea levels, floods, and storms, leading to significant social and economic costs. So climate change is the global change in the climate that may link to the global warming. That's the global warming and the increase in temperature, increased natural hazards like rising sea level, floods, and storms. And to address climate change, there is this convention, the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement is adopted in 2015 that aims to limit global temperature rise to below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. And countries define their own contributions and choose policies to meet their targets. So almost all countries are participants for this Paris Agreement. We know actually that the United States of America is not yet participant for the Paris Agreement, but this is the global context of the climate action. And finally, the energy transition. The Paris Agreement calls for a radical transformation of global energy systems, notably through a transition to renewable energy sources, greater energy efficiency, and a gradual reduction in use of fossil fuels. There are the two global contexts of this study. So carbon taxes are one instrument available to governments to help reduce their emissions, and transition to clean energy. So next, what is the context in Africa and the developing countries? So Africa, despite contributing marginally to global greenhouse gas emissions, is disproportionately affected by climate change, with impact causing 10 to 15% loss in GDP growth per capita. And high climate change scenarios could result in an additional 10% loss of GDP growth by 2050. So Africa's limited contribution to emissions is due to underdeveloped infrastructure and industries. However, as the continent attracts more foreign investment and develops its infrastructure, it will need to implement measures to reduce pollution, particularly from fossil fuel use. We will see next some statistics about the context in Africa. The energy transition is a key strategic issue in Africa, essential for economic development and climate action. Initiatives like the African Union's Agenda 2063 and the Sustainable Development Goals focus on promoting sustainable energy access, especially renewable sources. But despite abundant renewable resources, solar, wind, and hydropower, Africa faces challenges like limited infrastructure investment and high renewable energy costs. And sub-Saharan Africa represents 75% of the global population without electricity access, relying heavily on fossil fuels. So a carbon tax system could mobilize additional resources for Africa's energy transition. What is the context in developing countries? So in developing countries, poorly designed carbon tax could have negative social consequences, particularly by increasing energy costs for low-income households and worsening energy poverty. However, economists suggest that carbon taxes are a cost-effective way to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by promoting clean energy sources. Rural communities, which represent the majority in developing countries like Madagascar, are especially concerned about the carbon tax impact on low-income individuals, as they often lack access to alternative energy sources. With proper compensatory measures and well-thought policies, the carbon tax could direct investments towards renewable energy solutions suitable for local context. for example, the solar mini grids or improved cook stocks. The carbon tax could also generate fiscal resources to fund energy access projects for vulnerable populations, helping address energy poverty and promote sustainable development. Here we can see some statistic from the World Bank. How does Africa affect climate change? Here we see the total greenhouse gas emissions from all regions in the world. And we see here that Africa contribute marginally in the greenhouse gas emissions. This is Africa. And we see here the East Asia Pacific is the most the major polluting regions. Here we can see here at the bottom is the East Asia Pacific, and at the top is the Africa, the marginal with a marginal contribution to total greenhouse gas emissions. But we can see here that the CO2 emissions from fossil fuels in Africa tend to increase. Here we have the trends for oil, for coal, and for natural gases, and all increase all the time. And here we have the reliance on fossil fuel. We can see here the reliance on fossil fuel in African country, because we see here that coal is the most energy used for many African countries, and after that the natural gas, the solar, the renewable energy is there is a small part of renewable energy in the total energy use, the total energy consumption. And we see, for example, in Madagascar, the coal is the most energy used in households in Madagascar. So that show the context that I tell to you. This is the statistic from World Bank. And here we see what is the link between carbon tax and renewable energy investment. So we can see this link through this flow chart, So when we introduce carbon tax, carbon tax in a country or an economy, it increased the cost of fossil fuel first, and so the fossil fuels price rise, and there is a short-term energy consumption decline, because the in context of Africa and developing countries, most households rely on fossil fuel. So there will be an impact on low-income households and business costs. So there are two impacts in households and in business, in company, in industry. But when carbon tax...
Sorry, Narindra, could you use your mouse, because I'm not, to point at where you are talking about? Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Yes, I'm saying your mouse. Point at, like, if you are speaking about a box, you point at that place so people will see where you are talking about.
Okay. So when the carbon tax is introduced, I say that there is an increase of cost of fossil fuel, and the fossil fuel price rise, and there is short-term energy consumption decline. So there will be an impact on low-income households and business costs. So there will be an impact in households revenue and in industry costs, company cost, business costs. And when carbon tax is introduced, there will be a revenue generated from it. So there will be government revenue. So after that, there will be a policy options for revenue use. How to use the revenue, and this revenue will be recycled. There is revenue recycling, and it supports the low-income regions, the low-income households. That is the redistribution of the carbon tax revenue. But what is the impact on renewable energy investment? When the government decides to redistribute the revenue from carbon tax for public investment, so there will be an increase in renewable energy investment. Here, the policy options of revenue use can be linked to the public investment, and here the market dynamics, the consumer behavior, because the fossil fuel price rise, and will be a shift toward clean energy, because clean energy will be less expensive. So so the market dynamics, the consumer behavior can link to a shift toward clean energy, which become less expensive. So renewable energy investment can be promoted by the public investment or the private sector investment, because it incentivizes for renewable energy investment from the shift toward clean energy. So there also will be an environmental impact on emission reduction when you use clean energy, and the climate goals will be achieved. And technological innovation and progress can also be involved. There will be government-backed research and renewable energy development. And after that, there will be new employment opportunities and retraining programs. So this is the impact of the carbon tax on renewable energy investment. Mainly, it could be public investment for the redistribution of carbon tax revenue, or the shift toward clean energy, who links to promotion of private investment in renewable energy. I will share you here a simulator created by Climate Interactive. It's a global model. It's a global simulator. En-ROAD is an interactive and user-friendly simulation developed by Climate Interactive that allows policymakers, researchers, organizations, and everyone to model and explore the impacts of various climate and energy policies on global temperature, emissions, and energy systems. The key features, how we can use this model. We can use this model for real-time simulation, for scenario creation, and for policy comparison. So I will show you here the simulator. We can access to it, and we can train to become an ambassador of this this model, this simulator. Here we see the various climate action. For example, energy supply, renewable, oil, nuclear, natural gas, zero carbon, bioenergy, and carbon price. Climate action related to transport, energy efficiency, electrification, energy efficiency in transport, energy efficiency in buildings and industry. And we see also carbon dioxide removal, natural gas, based, technological, or other sources of greenhouse gas, agricultural emissions, waste and leakage, deforestation. We can see a global climate action, various climate action. And we can see here the impact in terms of temperature increase. So this is a baseline. This is a baseline created by the inward steams. So now there is 3.3 degrees Celsius increase in temperature, and if we will not take any climate action in the future, so in 2100, the temperature increased by 3.3 degrees Celsius. So we are here interested in carbon price. There are two categories of carbon price: carbon tax and carbon market. And but we are here interested in carbon tax. But it is included in En-ROAD model, but it is not specified as a carbon tax or carbon market. It is generalized in carbon price. So when you take action, for example, here, for example, we can tax this carbon very high, $151 ton per CO2. So we can see the impact in terms of temperature increase. It decreased in 2.6 degrees Celsius. And here we can see also the trends of greenhouse gas net emissions. It decreased. We will see here it decreased. It decreased here from here to here. So we can see also the global source of any primary energy. We can see here let's see, for example, the global source of primary energy here. We can see when we introduce carbon tax, carbon price, the use of coal decrease and the renewable increase here in green. We can see also the impact, for example, impact in terms of air pollution from energy. We can see here in blue here the impact of the introduction of carbon price. You can see, for example, here, and we see there is the impact of air pollution, and we can see also, for example, the cost of energy. There is an increase of cost of energy. So this model simulates the global economy and the climate action, and see the results in terms of temperature increase, and explain why this temperature increase in terms of the cost of energy, in terms of impact of air pollution, the primary energy demand to the final consumption, for example, final energy consumption. There will be a decrease in final energy consumption. So this is just we can see here just the global view of the impact of carbon price. So let's go back to the presentation. There is about inroads simulator. Now, how AI can be involved for assessing the impact of carbon tax policy on renewable energy transition. So there are three ways for assessing this impact. First, we have to forecasting the impact using AI for forecasting impact. After that, using AI for optimizing investments. And finally, using AI for refining policy. The AI tool that I use for this analysis is Python. But why? Because it is simple. Python's clean and easy to read syntax allows developers to write code quickly and efficiently, making it accessible to both beginners and experts. And there is extensive machine learning libraries in Python. Python offers a wide range of specialized libraries, making it simple to implement. And there is a large community support. There's abundance of tutorials, documentations, forums, and third-party packages, providing constant help and innovation. So smooth integration with various tools and platforms, allowing for flexible workflows and easy deployment of machine learning models in diverse environments. So that's why I use Python for my analysis. So first, AI for predictive analysis and scenario simulation. It will focus on forecasting and understanding
Hello?
with each.
Okay. We lost you for like 3 seconds. You can continue.
You can hear me?
Yes.
The predictive modeling, we can use a random forest model fueled by multiple decision trees in parallel, with each tree being trained independently from the others. It's a non-sequential manner. And the gradient boosting model, we can use also the gradient boosting model to build by training decision trees in a sequential manner, where each new tree corrects the errors made by the previous one. There is for the predictive modeling. And for scenario analysis, we can use system dynamics models. It's best for understand how policies evolve over time and the long-term dynamics. The Monte Carlo simulations will be best for quantifying risk and uncertainty under different scenarios and parameter assumptions. And also for the predictive analysis, the market dynamic simulation models, the agent-based modeling to simulate the interactions of different market agents, governments, corporations, investors under different carbon tax policies, and model market behavior in response to changes in the tax environment. And we can use also the computable general equilibrium CGE model. It is transversal for predictive modeling, for scenario analysis, and for market dynamic simulation models. It is used to assess the impact of policy changes by simulating the entire economy. This is generated in Python and using CAMS and TrimPack. That's a library. The predictive modeling. So why random forest model or gradient model, boosting model? It's because, as we see, the carbon tax and energy system, it will be a model complex. It's a complex model and non-linear interactions. It is also for robustness to high dimensional data and heterogeneity. For predictive performance for scenarios analysis, and it's an important tool for policymakers. Which factors drive renewable energy investments to the most under carbon tax policy? So what AI tool and libraries to use? Random forests, we can use Python and use the library scikit-learn XGBoost, like GBM for random forest classifier and the random forest recursor. For gradient boosting, we use Python and use libraries scikit-learn XGBoost, like GBM, CatBoost for gradient boosting classifier and gradient boosting recursor. So random forests and gradient boosting. Why use random forest and why use gradient boosting? So for model accuracy and complexity, random forest is a good accuracy, fast training, handles general trends well, but may miss intricate patterns in complex relationships. So it's a good random forest is good. But gradient boosting is excellent accuracy, especially for capturing complex nonlinear interactions, though it requires careful tuning. For training time and computational resources, random forest is fast training due to parallel processing, suitable for large datasets with moderate computational demands. But gradient boosting, slower training due to sequential tree building, more computationally intensive, but better for capturing complex patterns. About overfitting and generalization, random forests would be lower risk of overfitting due to bagging, good generalization to unseen data. But gradient boosting with a higher overfitting risk, but better generalization if hyperparameters are carefully tuned. About suitability for carbon tax impact analysis, random forest is suitable for broad analysis of carbon tax impact with general trends. And gradient boosting is ideal for detailed insights into sector-specific or investment trends, though it requires careful hyperparameter tuning for optimal results. The system dynamics models and Monte Carlo simulations is about for scenario analysis. So the system dynamics models, the purpose of system dynamics models, the system dynamics models is best for understanding how policies evolve over time and their long-term dynamics. The strength when using this method focuses on feedback loops, stock and float relationships, and time-based changes, which is ideal for modeling the ongoing impacts of policies like carbon taxes on renewable energy investments. How to apply these methods? This is useful for simulating how the interaction of various factors, example, the energy policy, the market behavior, investment trend, influences long-term outcomes. The AI tool and library that we can use for system dynamics model. In Python, we can install PyST, system dynamics modeling in Python. Fencing, system dynamics software can be integrated with Python. And there is a system dynamics models. And Monte Carlo simulations is based for quantifying risk and uncertainty by running multiple simulations with different scenarios and parameter assumptions. The strength is that it generates a range of possible outcomes and helps assess the probability of different results, making it useful for modeling uncertain variables. Example, the fluctuating carbon tax rates of the energy prices. This method is ideal for assessing how different uncertainties, example, policy changes or market volatility, affect renewable energy investment under varying scenarios. The AI tool and the libraries we can use in Python, we can use NumPy for random number generation. We can use CPy for statistical analysis. We can use PyMC3 and so on. For the market dynamic simulation model, the agent-based modeling, when to use these methods and when not to use these methods. When to use these methods? The system is complex and dynamic, and there are heterogeneous agents with different behaviors, example, governments, corporations, investors, and consumers. The exploration of emergent behaviors
Narindra. Yes,
yes,
I'm getting a bit conscious about the time. If you have some results to show, probably you discuss those now, and then if a question is asked which leads to the methods, we can come back to them. Is that fine?
Okay, so I just share what I do for research.
Yes,
there is no results for my research now because I am just at the beginning of my PhD study. It's just the result of my literature review and my research.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So here we have the CGO model, a Y2 CGO model for simulate the entire economy. There is the AI tool and library to use for CGO model. And for AI for investment optimization and management, we are here. Many methods we can use. Investment optimization. For investment optimization, we can use linear programming, genetic algorithm, reinforcement learning. And for risk assessment, we can use Monte Carlo simulation, Bayesian networks, and decision trees. And for cost-benefit analysis, we can use AI-powered econometrics, causal inference model. So for this is why we use this method. It's suitable for linear relationship, and genetic algorithms is useful for non-linear investment constraints. And reinforcement learning is ideal when investment decisions need dynamic adjustment over time based on changing carbon tax rates and market trends and project performance. For risk assessment, Monte Carlo simulation is a models. It models and uncertainties in investment returns by simulating thousands of possible outcomes. And the Bayesian networks is useful for probabilistic risk modeling and assessing the dependencies between factors, example, the carbon tax, energy prices, and policy changes. And the decision trees methods can help evaluate investment choices by breaking down risk into structured decision paths. For the cost-benefit analysis, we can use AI-powered econometrics and causal inference models. We can use uses machine learning with traditional econometric models to evaluate the financial viability of renewable energy projects under carbon tax policies. And the causal inference models helps assess cause and effect relationships between carbon tax policies and renewable energy investment. So finally, the AI for policy design and real-time decision making. For real-time decision making, we can real-time policy adjustment. We can use reinforcement learning or online learning. For geospatial analysis, we can use geospatial AI, geographic information systems, and deep learning for image analysis. For behavioral insights, we can use natural language processing, sentiment analysis, and also reinforcement learning. So here is for example, the use case for the reinforcement learning, the carbon tax policy that adjusts real-time based on energy market fluctuations, ensuring optimal taxation levels to incentivize renewables. And online learning, so we can use this an AI system that adjusts carbon tax rates in real time based on renewable energy investment trends and economic indicators. For geospatial analysis, we can use satellite data to detect potential solar wind sites, for example. We can use this satellite imagery to assess land cover and energy grids. And there is an AI tool and libraries to use for the geospatial analysis. For behavioral insights, we can use natural language processing to analyze these government reports, news, and social media to identify key concerns, trends, and shifts in attitude towards carbon taxes. The sentiment analysis, we can use sentiment analysis of social media reports and feedback to reveal how carbon tax policies are perceived by the public, but businesses and energy stakeholders. And the reinforcement learning, it simulates decision-making under various carbon tax scenarios and optimizes investment strategies using historical data. So I'm sharing here the pathway for deep literature review, the cure this carbon tax and renewable energy. There is some useful link to access, for example, social science research network or research kit and the Science Direct. So here is my contact information if you want to discuss more or go in depth analysis and discuss with me. You can contact me via mail address and LinkedIn. So thank you everyone for
Thank you very much, Narindra, for the wonderful presentation. I am now